I actually started Spreenkler, we're in year 5. The weather is threatening our next meetup, but we're in year 5 of the Spreenkler meetup, which was a way for me to bring creative and technology professionals together on a monthly basis. One, to have great food and margaritas, and another reason to talk about trends in the industry, or talk about things like Twitter, when we were discussing it in early 2007, and the impact it would have on marketing campaigns or design or technology. And through that, I saw an opportunity to create something that would bring in our emerging creative talent, get them engaged with industry in the region, show our business leaders that we do have the talent they need here, and show our young, energetic students that they have opportunities to launch and grow their career here. Like I said, I learned a lot through that process of what the agency really can take on, and realize, okay, we need to stay focused on client work within our agency, but have another avenue for training. So the agency is sustainable on its own income, and we've received funding to support our nonprofit as well. So it's been a lot of hard work. I have told Christine Harris that what Creativity Works is doing has made it a lot easier. Opening doors, bringing everyone, the creative community together in a broader way with a lot of the business leaders, education leaders. So to be able to send an email and meet with the right people at UW Milwaukee, Creativity Works has really opened a lot of doors in that way. Where our original focus was, how do we train high school students and college students to get jobs in design or technology? Now we say, okay, we can do that, but let's also show them and teach them how to start their own businesses in design and technology. So the Seed Incubator program reaches out to colleges in southeastern Wisconsin, including, we go all the way to Madison, and we're asking students to submit their ideas. They could be a programmer, maybe they're not, maybe they've just got a wacky idea for an app, but submit their ideas, and we have a process to review, score, and we eventually pick the ones that will make it into our incubator program. They'll get funded. There's an investor behind it, and the incubator program lasts about 12 weeks. At the end of that program, you have to have a working prototype, a finished business plan, and a presentation, because you will demonstrate your application or your software to another group of investors, and it's sort of your pitch at the end. So you may get additional funding to continue to pursue this company. When I started, I wanted to get my sort of get the feelers out and what students thought or how they perceived Milwaukee, whether it was already as a creative hub or not, and that was going to help me determine how we would position things or market things or bring messages to them. So I would go into classrooms and say, you know, how many people are graduating this year? Raise your hand. And almost the whole class would raise their hand. How many people plan to work in Milwaukee when they graduate? Maybe 1 or 2. And these were classrooms full of copywriters, designers, programmers, and they really didn't see opportunity here. So, you know, really, you can think of marketing as, you know, where do we put campaign messages, or what kind of ads, or, you know, do we wrap something on a bus? Doesn't work in this case, and it's not very expensive. It just takes more time. So we've got to have, you know, people in classrooms. We've got to have organizations like Spreenkler, where we're actually bringing groups of the people we want to keep here together to work on real projects with real companies. So now you're integrating the whole process of the senior leadership that we have and our emerging youth, and they can see firsthand how talented these people are, how organized they are. Yes, they work differently and might think a little differently, but some of these tools can actually be really efficient. Yesterday we had, I think, 8 to 10 high schoolers in between these two spaces. We had 8 or so professionals, and then another 8 or so recent grads. It's great to put them together and see how they sort of organically come together and to train each other, to talk about, you know, their career goals or aspirations, to really, when we talk about connecting the dots from high school to college to career, doesn't happen in any better way, I believe, than in bringing all of them together and allowing a high schooler to say to a college student, what are you going to school for, and why are you going to that school, what classes are you taking, and then start to see the path themselves to college. But then also then they have professionals around to mentor, to answer questions. We take them on tours of other companies so they see different environments, but it's the hands-on environment along with, and which is hard to bring in, but along with real authentic accountability. So knowing that what you're working on isn't a project that you maybe picked because it seemed cool, but it's because a client has a real need and we're accountable to that client and everyone's getting paid to stay focused on it. So it's real work. The recent report that came out, or actually maybe a year or two old, business statistics came out that all net new jobs are created by new companies, startups, or between year 0 and year 5. So we need more of that, and so I think that we've got the pieces here, and Christine has helped, and her group, they have helped the region recognize, which is a critical first step. Let's recognize the talent we have. Let's recognize the companies that we have. But now, how do we bring all of those pieces together to launch new companies, create new jobs, support our existing companies that are here in some of the endeavors they might want to use to expand, let our elected officials know what we need in terms of resources as a strong and growing industry here, and work together and really focus on some key goals around that. But where I've seen it work well in other cities, they have a plan and they focus on the near-term objectives that they're going to accomplish, and the city rallies around it. And they get those things done and they move on to the next one. So what's in year 2? All right, let's move on to that. What's in year 3? I think we've got a lot of those pieces coming together, but the true test will be if we can get everyone on the same page and moving in that direction. Competition is a concern for a number of the companies, unlike the Water Council, where they say we have over 100 companies and none of us really compete. But in the creative industry, there are a number of organizations that do compete. I think with Creativity Works saying, all right, look, let's all have a bigger dream. Let's have a bigger goal that we're pursuing, that we can come together and collaborate, has helped in that sense. From our perspective, we have found a really specific area that we focus on to actually help who you might think our competitors would be, help them win more business. And so because we have the skills and technology that some of these organizations don't, we fit in very well to come in and just complement their services. We need to break down some of those walls between our senior leadership and our emerging creatives, and even our emerging leaders here who maybe don't wear a suit to work or don't go and work in a cubicle, but they work in open, innovative environments, and they bring a lot of ideas to the table. There are a lot of great things happening on the ground already that Creativity Works can tap into. So they don't have to maybe create anything new in some of these areas, but just leverage what we already have. But we need that voice. We need the voice to the business leadership. We need the voice to the political leadership, so they understand, and clearly see what's happening on the ground. The message is to stay here and do this here. If you're a creative, if you're a designer, if you're a programmer, you need to stay here because we've got the support now with Creativity Works. We've got sort of the structural support, but most of all, we have the community here. I've mapped out all of the activities that go on a monthly basis with different meetup groups, with coffees, with study halls. All of these things that brings our creative talent together on a regular basis is here. Organically, it's happened. So no one said, we ought to do this because we're a cluster. It's happened already. Now we just have to leverage that on a broader scale. But so if you're graduating from a college here and you're a designer, stay here, because we'll have the companies that, big companies that you can work at. We'll have the smaller agencies or even big agencies you can work at. And we'll have environments like this, where it's shifting and changing all the time in response to the market, that you can be really free and open and creative. And so we need more of all of those. This generation is a lot of talk about this, how it's different, and how everyone texts and they don't know how to talk. They don't know how to talk to people. They just communicate on these little things in their hands. Sure, they do some of that, but I think their greatest demand is, where can I go and work and be myself? And that is probably one of my biggest fears for the region, is how are companies that are long established in tradition around some of our established in the tradition around some of our older industries, how are they going to adapt? How are they going to create different work environments?